So normally, the kind of gimbals that we like to film with are the smaller, lighter ones that are designed for mirrorless cameras. Gimbals like the Gimbal Lab or the Gimbal S, or the one that we're filming with today, the DJI Ronin SC. Recently, however, Zhiyun sent us this big case, and it's got a gimbal in it, and the gimbal in this one is the Zhiyun Crane S3 or the 3S. And this gimbal is freaking huge. It's much larger than many of the gimbals that we generally film with, and it's designed for a much heavier and larger setup. So even a setup like this would be relatively small in comparison to what this gimbal can actually produce, but we don't have, or what this gimbal can actually balance, but we don't have a much larger, heavier camera available on hand. We don't have a cinema camera because that's not what we film with. So this is the camera that we're going to be testing with. This is the Canon 5D Mark IV with the Sigma 1835, and we're going to be testing the Crane 3S gimbal and seeing what this gimbal is all about. Okay, so the gimbal's now completely balanced and ready to go, and first impressions, build quality. Honestly, this gimbal has by far the best quality in terms of its build that I've ever seen or ever felt in any gimbal I've ever used, and I've used a lot of gimbals. Like, the build quality in this is like overkill, beyond anything that most people would expect or should expect from a gimbal. It's just so well made and so well designed. I love that. Even the little mini tripod over here, the rubber has this extra thickness to it. The metal feels really nice as well. It just gives that extra level of comfort. And I think Zhiyun have gone really above and beyond when it comes to design and build quality and construction of this gimbal. It's just incredible. The other thing is the way that it feels like when you're moving around and you're moving the camera around, it just feels so much smoother. I mean, fair enough, we're not using a really heavy setup on this gimbal, so we are using what would be considered a lightweight setup for this kind of gimbal, but still, it just feels so nice. Like, it feels really smooth, and the fact that you've got a two-handle system already because of the mini tripod and the handle on the back just gives it that extra comfort value. So if you're used to Zhiyun gimbals like the Gimbal and the previous Crane model, then you're going to be very familiar with it. But what they've done is they've just taken what worked with those gimbals and improved all of the things that people were asking for, like the build, the design, the way that it feels. Like, some of those previous Zhiyun gimbals had those micro jitters, which I really didn't like. This one, no micro jitters at all. It's just incredibly smooth. So we're going to take a few clips now, and I'm going to show you the kind of footage you can produce with this gimbal, and yeah, let's find out what this gimbal can do. So one of the things you can do with much larger gimbals like the Crane 3S is you can build it up and it will still be able to take the weight that you put on it. So if you've got a DSLR like the one that we're shooting with, you can put a cage on it, you can put some other accessories on it, and this gimbal will still take that weight comfortably. And that's something that you can't necessarily do as well with smaller mirrorless type gimbals. And this is why, if you're someone who's really serious about high-end filming, not like us, I mean, we're just doing YouTube videos in all fairness, but if you're someone who's doing really serious kinds of video, then this gimbal honestly is incredible. Like, I'm truly in love with this gimbal. The quality that it produces is fantastic. The build, the design is incredible. And one of the things that I want to try with it is I want to shoot with a tilt shift lens, because when you're out and shooting in the city, one of the things that I noticed with a lot of creatives is when they're filming in the city, the buildings always look like they're falling backwards, and it annoys the heck out of me. And because I am an architectural photographer, the verticals need to be straight. So I've got the 17 tilt shift over here. I'm going to put it onto the Canon 5D Mark IV, and we're going to take some clips around Leeds city centre to see how this impacts the kind of footage you produce and if you can keep the verticals perfectly level. So let's see what that's all about. With a tilt shift lens, what you can do is actually move the lens elements up, and what this allows you to do is you can get a much higher perspective on what you're shooting even when the camera is angled very low to the ground. And in this clip we're obviously exaggerating for effect. And here is a clip of the same building without any shift applied to the lens, and you can see just how much of a difference it makes. When you're filming a building and you angle the camera up, you can see how it looks like the building's falling backwards. However, when you shift the lens instead, you can keep the vertical lines perfectly straight and it looks more natural. So, conclusions. Honestly, this is hands down the best gimbal that I've ever used. I mean, the build quality, the design, everything about it has been so well made. The levers, like when you're closing the levers on this gimbal, it feels so nice. It's kind of like using a really high quality Arca Swiss tripod head, like the Cube. It just feels really nice and smooth, like it's been designed for people that want the best quality. And that's exactly what this gimbal feels like. The kind of footage that we're getting from what I'm seeing on the back of the camera, it just looks so smooth, and I really can't fault this. I honestly don't have a single thing negative to say about this gimbal. The only thing I will say is that this is overkill for the kind of footage or the kind of thing that we're producing for our YouTube channel. So Annette and I are probably not going to be shooting with something this big because it's too big, it's too heavy, and we're going to carry on with the mirrorless gimbals that we're shooting with right now. This gimbal is for people who are more serious about the kind of footage that they're producing. You know, people who are going to be shooting with those big heavy rigs, or who want something that they can build up on, cinema cameras. That's the kind of gimbal this is. And for those people, you know what, this is probably the only choice on the market. Incredible value for money, built like an absolute tank. I'm thoroughly impressed with this. They've taken the really awesome gimbals that they were producing early on, like the Weeble and the Crane Lab, the previous model to this one, and they've just taken that and improved absolutely everything about it. Even the lock mechanisms are so much nicer on this gimbal than what they were on the old one. So yeah, this is without a doubt the best gimbal that's currently on the market. I don't think it's going to be one that we use because it's beyond what we need, but still, if you need something like this, if you need something that can carry a good amount of weight, there's no other choice. Anyway, just want to say thank you so much for watching our video. If you like this video, hit the like button, please subscribe, share this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you.